Hello, Partnering for Vaccine Equity Learning community members, and welcome to this afternoon's orientation session. I'm Bridget Courteau. I'm the Director of Group Learning for the Learning Community, and on behalf of our group learning team at the Urban Institute and our learning community manager partners at the CDC Foundation, thanks for joining us for this brief introduction to what the Partnering for Vaccine Equity, or PAVE, learning community is all about. So this is the fifth session, I believe, that we've had like this. So it repeats information that we have shared quarterly near the start of each month, each quarter, about the learning community. So if you have been to one of these previous orientations, it's probably a repeat of information, but these sessions are for anybody who's brand new to the learning community, or even folks who have been part of the learning community for a while now and just want to become more familiar. And before we go any further, I will do our typical quick review of how this session will work. So you've been muted upon entry to the session, and please stay on mute unless you're speaking. We do offer live interpretation from English to Spanish during our events, including this one. So if you would like to listen to the Spanish language channel, simply click on the globe icon that's in your Zoom taskbar. We will try to leave some time for Q&A after our presentations, but this is a short session, and so there's likely to not be tons of time at the end. So we do encourage you to send questions to us as you have them through the Q&A. That's also in the Zoom taskbar at the bottom of your screen. And that way we'll try to answer them as we go, either on our remarks or by typing an answer back to you in the Q&A. We encourage you to use the chat room to introduce yourself if you'd like, or share comments. But again, if you have a question, try to put that into Q&A so we are absolutely sure to see it there. And finally, as with all of our group learning events, we will post the slides and a recording of this event on our community's website and circulate them through the digests or newsletters that go out to the CDC-managed Adult Vax Program listserv, which all learning community members should be a part of. If you have any technical difficulties at any point during the session, we do want to hear about them. So please send an email to our community manager's inbox listed here, but that's vaxequitylearning@urban.org. So I already introduced myself, and for today's orientation session, I'll be sharing the stage with my group learning teammate and our website community manager, Luis Gallardo. And Luis is from the Urban Institute along with me, and our partner Megan Fields from the CDC Foundation, who manages the Vaccine Resource Hub. And here's a quick look at how we'll spend the rest of our time together. So I'm going to first provide an overview of what the learning community is and what our group learning team offers to members. I'm going to hand things over to Megan then to review the Vaccine Resource Hub and how to make the most of this vast repository of tools and resources. And then Luis is going to wrap things up with a brief review of the components of our learning community onboarding toolkit and a live demo of the learning community website's main features. And then, of course, Q&A with whatever time we have left. Next slide, please. So as learning community managers, our aim is to provide you with space and opportunities to connect with each other and to subject matter experts, to share your promising practices and to share strategies that will help you implement your program activities and achieve your own goals around increasing vaccine coverage. And over the course of our project, we're also documenting what works and building, along with our partners, a set of resources to support longer-term efforts to improve vaccine equity. And here is how we are trying to achieve those objectives. Next slide. So we created and we now manage a website for the learning community. It is a private site, so you need an account to access it. And Luis is going to share a lot more information on the website and its features shortly. So that's as much as I'm going to say about that here or right now. And we'll move on to our group learning events. So we plan out and carry virtual events that range from large webinars and panel presentations to smaller Ask the Expert sessions that are focused on Q&A after a short presentation by an expert, to training workshops that are meant to be a smaller group and more hands-on and interactive. We offer about 4 events per month on average across these different formats. And they're typically open to all organizations that are in the learning community and others who work on vaccine equity. Topics range from addressing misinformation to training trusted messengers to partnering with other organizations in your community on your vaccine equity work, to the science behind vaccines, and a whole lot more. We offer live interpretation into Spanish at all of our events, like I mentioned at the top of the session. And we also record everything and share materials from the event on our website after the fact. Because we know some of our members prefer on-demand learning and may not be able to access our live events. And so the materials that are on the website include English and Spanish recordings, plus any presentation slides and handouts. We coordinate 3 communities of practice, which we call COPs for short. These are subgroups of learning community members that serve a common priority population. These groups are driven by their learning community members. So when I say that, I mean that the members form a steering committee. They set their own agendas and decide what they want to discuss or work on together. And our team helps with meeting coordination and whatever else the COPs need. And they usually meet about monthly. Every quarter, all of the COPs that we're operating right now join for a joint session as well. And currently, those 3 COPs that we have running are listed here. They are the African American, African diaspora serving organizations, Hispanic, Latinx serving organizations, and organizations that serve Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, American Indian, and Alaska Native populations. And finally, under what we call our Promising Practice Initiative, we provided grants to and recently wrapped up work with 18 learning community members on short-term projects to implement and study a promising practice to increase vaccine equity. And those projects were in one of 3 areas: community-based outreach, social media, or hosting in-person vaccine events. So that work wrapped up, and we're actually working on a final report right now that will be disseminated throughout the learning community. So you'll hopefully see that when the report comes out next month. So I'm going to end my remarks with a few points about how learning community members find out about the live group learning events that we offer. So we promote events through a lot of different pathways to try to reach as many members as we can. We send an email announcement before each live event. Those are kind of the official events when everything is ready, registration page and everything else. These are generated by our website, and they usually come from our teammate. His name's Eric Wengel. So that would be the name you might see in your inbox. And so you'll get an email when we first add the event to our calendar, and then usually again on the day of event as a final reminder in case you missed it earlier. The exception to this is if you adjust your notification settings to turn off emails from our website, which some people do. And so if you do that, you won't get these announcements. You can also find out about events by regularly checking in on the website, because we do have an event calendar there, which you'll see shortly. And the site's homepage also usually features an upcoming event with a quick access registration button right there. And for those who aren't regularly using the website, you can find event information in the weekly newsletters that go out to that Adult Vax Program listserv. And as you'll see in a bit, we also plug upcoming events at the end of each live session that we do. And we chat the registration links during those sessions. And finally, for some events, we do want to give them an extra promotional push for some reason. Usually it's if they're planned in a short time or have a short promotion window. And then we will occasionally ask the CDC's PAVE project officers and technical monitors to forward event information to the PAVE partners that they support. But this is not the case for every single event that we put on. Okay, so I don't see any Q&A yet, so I'm going to hand things over to Megan to talk about the Vaccine Resource Hub.
Thank you so much, Bridget, and welcome everyone. My name is Megan Fields, and I'm a program officer here at the CDC Foundation. And as Bridget explained in the overview, the Vaccine Resource Hub is the public-facing site for the Learning Community Partnership. So we can go on to the next slide. I dropped in the chat for you all the URL to the Vaccine Resource Hub. And the purpose of the Vaccine Resource Hub really is to operate as the public-facing sister site of the Learning Community platform. This website provides resources that are specifically evaluated, relevant, and engaging. We've We've been curating this content so that we can help strengthen community engagement activities by providing this free access to trainings, webinars, toolkits, graphics, things that you can immediately upload to your social media or use as capacity building resources for your organizations. And we fill the gaps for CBOs who often don't have the time or the staff to create their own materials. You can go on to the next slide. So I wanted to give a few screenshots to detail how you can operate and navigate while you're on the Vaccine Resource Hub. So I wanted to remind everyone that this is a public site. So you don't have to sign on in order to access the materials on the Vaccine Resource Hub. However, there is an option exclusively for PAVE members like yourselves to be able to log in to the Vaccine Resource Hub using the same login, username, and password as you would on the learning community. And there are certain features that are available for the PAVE members. So you can see the sign on button here in the top right of the home page. Next slide. When you log in to the Vaccine Resource Hub, you'll see a few options that are exclusive to the members of this community, which are you can submit a resource to the Vaccine Resource Hub yourself. There's a button here to upload resources if your organization is making things that you really want to share out to the community. And also there's a guide on how to do that. There's also a space where you can toggle back and get to the learning community through that single sign-on feature. Next slide. Back on the home page, you'll see these are some of the public facing options that we have on the website. So you can find resources, create your own resources, and read through some of the stories that we have on the Vaccine Resource Hub. We can also, as a user, toggle between English and Spanish for accessing the information on the website itself. Next slide. So once you go over to find resources, which is really the meat and potatoes of the website, you'll see that we have a very robust and comprehensive filter functionality where you can search by certain racial or ethnicity groups that you're serving in your communities, by particular languages. We have over 1,200 graphics and resources on the site right now in over 50 languages. You can also filter by the type of resources you're looking for, and just a few things to note on this page. When you're looking up resources, you may find, I don't actually know what I want to look for. And so we've created this really interesting and fun Discover tab where you can go on and explore trending information. You can go on and see what the latest misinformation talking points are, and also really get an understanding of what other people are looking at that may help guide your search on the site. You'll also see here on this main site that these are what we call a node, and this is what the assets look like. And you can see if it has a banner in the top right corner that says new, it's been uploaded to the website within the last week. Next slide. Great, thank you so much. I'll pass it back to the Urban team.
Yes, thank you, Megan and Bridget, for all that helpful information. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the onboarding toolkit that we created to continue to help familiarize ourselves with the learning community and the Vaccine Resource Hub. We'll be going through that guide during this session, but of course, feel free to download whatever seems most useful and follow along in the meantime. The files currently are available in a Box folder, which I think Bridget will be sending the link to in the chat. And we're currently working on updating our group learning resource library page on the learning community website, where they will be permanently housed. And as a quick note, some of the fact sheets and documents in the toolkit are finalized, but we'll continue updating these resources as updates come. And there's also been some that have been updated or translated into Spanish. So I'm going to go ahead and start with some of the general learning community resources that are on the toolkit. So here are some screenshot examples of two. To the left is the About the Learning Community fact sheet that covers information about PAVE partners like the organization types, the geographic region, and priority program activities. And to the right is a frequently asked questions document that answers questions related to the website, any group learning events, communities of practice, as well as the Vaccine Resource Hub. Now, here we see some of the learning community specific resources that are in the onboarding toolkit. So on the left is the 2 websites fact sheet, which kind of lists the differences between the learning community website on the left and then the Vaccine Resource Hub on the right. And to the right of that screenshot is one of the many tutorials in the toolkit. And the tutorials cover the site basics ranging from how to update your profile picture, how to register for an event, how to search in the peer directory, and a few other things as well. Now, before we dive into the live demo part, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the main functions of the website. So this is a screenshot of the homepage that you'll see when you first log on. I'll cover some of the functions in more detail, but each tab directs members to a different page on the website. So the Connect with Peers tab will take you to the peer directory. Discuss and Learn will take you to the discussion boards. Attend an event will take you to the event calendar, and the Find and Share resources will take you to the Vaccine Resource Hub, which Megan just covered earlier. And the last thing before the demonstration, this is what you'll see when you're getting on the website. So once I create your account, you'll receive an email from info@vaccineresourcehub.org. You'll follow the link in the email right here to then create your password and complete your account. Now, the link in the email does expire after a few days, but if that happens, please just send us an email at this email right here, vaxequitylearning@urban.org. We'll also drop it in the chat a few times later on throughout the event. And to learn how to request an account either for yourself or for someone else on your team, please refer to the first question in the onboarding toolkit's FAQ document. It'll highlight a request form that you just have to fill out and submit, which is what I will be reviewing before creating your account. This is the checklist that we'll use to guide the tutorial. The tasks on the checklist have a corresponding tutorial on the rightmost column. We won't be going through each individual task, but they are here if you would like to go back on your own time and complete the tasks yourself. Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen while I switch over to the website. So just give me 1 second. So this is the homepage, and this is what you'll see when you first log on. Right now, we're currently advertising our event today, so that's what you'll see here. But to begin, we'll start in the Profile tab, which is right here in the top rightmost corner. In your Profile tab, you can customize your bio as well as add a profile picture and include any other biographic information that you'd like your pronouns or any topics of expertise that you would also like to include. The next tab we'll go to is the Events tab. So as Bridget mentioned earlier, when she was talking about the different ways to sign up for events, she mentioned the event calendar. So that's where you can find this. Currently, we only have the events for August listed, but you can always click on an event to learn more. And when you're on the event page, you can always register or download it to your calendar. Next is the peer directory function. So we're currently finalizing a functionality that will allow the city and state to show up for everyone on the website. If you can see, I'll type in Bridget's name. Oh, let's see, there she is. And you'll see that when I go to her profile, it'll say Washington, D.C. So some accounts have it, some don't, and we're in the last steps of standardizing the convention for everyone's profile so that members can look for people through geographic preferences like city and state. But the name functionality and the email functionality works. So this is also a great way to connect with members. So if I go back to Bridget's profile for her search, I can always add her as a contact or send her a message directly if I would want to connect. Next, we'll go to the discussion posts. So this is where you can interact with members as well as post questions or any helpful, not helpful resources, but helpful posts that you would like to share with other people. It's a great place for discussion as you can go on individual posts and reply to each other, as well as answer any questions that may appear. The community library has a very similar interface. as the discussion board. So here's where you would share the resources that you might find helpful or anything that you might want to broadcast to the learning community. You can create an entry, and very similar to the discussion board posts, you would just include a title, any description information that you want to include, and include the type of resource that you'd want to upload. We are currently working on updating the group learning resource library. So this is where we'll be uploading any past event materials. So the recording and the slides for today's event will be here, as well as a few other materials that you can see here on the left side. So earlier I mentioned the onboarding toolkit. We're working on getting that uploaded here. So as you can see, we have some HTML language up here that the page is under construction, but we hope to have it done in the next month. That is all for the demonstration. So I'm going to go back to the slides. I don't know if any questions came up while I was sharing my screen.
One did. It looks like Megan might be answering it online, but there is a question about use of the materials on the VRH.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer it on the call as well. So this is a really great question. And the short answer is yes. You can freely use any of the resources on the Vaccine Resource Hub without crediting the original content creator. We have a disclaimer that folks agree to when they're uploading, and also when they're downloading, that that these will be for free use. And we actually have a ton of content that is unbranded intentionally for this use. So we work with social media graphic partners that they create all of these graphics that are just relevant to whatever the specific health situation at the time is, and you can just throw your own logo on that and use them as well. So yes.
Thank you for that, Megan. So here's a checklist that I showed earlier. As I mentioned, feel free to go into the onboarding toolkit and go through each tutorial in the checklist if you have the time or the desire and you would like to familiarize yourself a little bit more with the website. I will say the website's usefulness depends on how much we as a community all put into it. So as I showed earlier, any profile demographics that you feel comfortable including, like your profile picture or any biographic information, just makes it a little bit more personal and allows for those connections between members to form. There's still a lot that we don't have time to cover today, but as I mentioned earlier, use these tutorials to help. And as always, if you ever have any questions, you can either refer to the FAQ document in the toolkit or send us an email at vaxequitylearning@urban.org. These are some of the upcoming events that we'll just quickly go over, as well as launch a satisfaction poll. You should see the satisfaction poll appear on your screen shortly. But we have an event coming up on the end of the month, August 30th, for tools and tactics to meet your social media goals. And Bridget will be sending some of the registration links in the chat, so keep an eye out for those there. And some upcoming events that we will have the registration links for soon are set for, well, there are 2 sessions, but a part of the series. They're in September, one being on September 26th and the other on September 28th. The registration links for that will be coming out soon, but as I showed during the demonstration, feel free to log on to the Learning Community website and take a look at the events calendar. Even if we don't have a registration link, you could always see what events we have coming up, and you can download those events to your calendars so that you are ready when the registration links are as well. I know we had a question earlier. Bridget, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say thanks. And yes, send questions. And I'm also going to chat one more link for you all with that spotlight entry form, so I can explain that while I chat it. And feel free to send in any Q&A because we do have a few more minutes to get to those before we end at 3. But this is, I'm chatting the PAVE Learning Community Members Spotlight entry form. So this is not an event that we're plugging here. It's a different kind of plug. But our team works with CDC and CDC Foundation and other partners that support the learning community to put out a weekly newsletter. I've mentioned it a couple times that goes to the adult vaccine VAX program listserv. We are not the owners of the listserv, but if you are not on it and want to get on it, certainly you can ask your project officer or your technical monitor. You could also send a question to our inbox. We fielded those there before. But that newsletter does have every other week. The newsletter includes a member spotlight, which is exactly what it sounds like. Typically, it has maybe a photo of a learning community member, and then a series of, some information about them, from sort of some fun things about what they like to do or where they live or their favorite things. There's also information about the work that they do with their PAVE or related vaccine equity project. And so this form is I think it's a Qualtrics form, and it's just a few questions about yourself that feeds into that member spotlight. So it's a fun feature in the newsletter, and especially if you're a brand new member and you want to get to know your peers or be highlighted in this way, we encourage you to do it. I know they're actively looking for folks to spotlight in the coming months. I don't see any questions coming up. One thing I thought if we had time, we could also plug a little bit more in more depth. Luis, is our a couple of interactive features of the website. Did you mention the partner events submission form? Because I thought of it when we were looking at the calendar. So the calendar that Louise showed you, the event calendar, is usually populated with our events, but also has partner events. You can see we have a special logo for our partner events, so you can see the difference, things that we host and manage versus another member of the learning community member, a peer. And we do have a form on the homepage that a quick form if you have an event that you want to add to our calendar. Then you can just answer a couple questions, share the registration link. We do a very quick look. We do control adding them to the calendar, but it usually only takes maybe a day or two for us to review and get that onto the calendar. So it's a really nice way to promote some of the things that you are doing that you think your partner or your peers might be interested in. So that's one way to get your own event onto the calendar. August is a quiet period for us. And so that's why the calendar looks a little empty. Right now, it typically has at least several different events between us and our partners that are coming up in the next month. But we will start to populate it with our September events in the next couple of weeks. And then this other button here, suggest a topic for our next learning session, is another one that we encourage anybody on the website to use. If you have an idea of something that you need help with, support with, or something that you could share, you can always use this button. It's maybe 1 or 2 fields to fill out. It could be quick, just a couple statements sharing what you think would make a good learning session in the future. All right, thanks for showing those, Luis.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you for reminding me.
Okay, we can wait for maybe another half a minute, but we are closing in on 3 o'clock anyway, and I do not see any additional questions coming up in the chat or the Q&A. Gina, Berry Community House, can you help us to found a vaccine clinic for our site? So I encourage you to, so we don't typically do a lot of direct technical assistance with learning community members. Typically the things we provide and the support we provide is to the group rather than to an individual member. It sounds like that could also be a topic. We do have some vaccine clinic resources. And so we'll take your name, Gina, down because we can forward you. We have done a couple of training sessions on hosting sort of community-based vaccine clinics. We did those last year, and there's a lot of materials on our website related to them. So we can forward those. In terms of direct technical assistance, I would encourage you to reach out to your Prime PAVE organization if you're supported by a national organization in your PAVE award, or your project officer and technical monitor about some more direct technical assistance related to that. Thank you very much. I think we can close the session. Not seeing any other questions coming up. I appreciate all of your attention and participation in the webinar. Have a nice day.